Η έκθεση Εξόδη κινδύνου είναι η πρώτη έκθεση που διοργανώνεται, η οποία ρίχνει το φακό στις εμπειρίες πρώην αποικιών, πόσο μάλλον τις ταυτόχρονες εμπειρίες τριών πρώην αποικιών, της Μαλαισίας, της Κένιας και της Κύπρου, κατά το τέλος της Βρετανικής Αυτοκρατορίας. Είναι η πρώτη προσπάθεια τέτοιου μεγέθους. Ταυτόχρονα φιλοξενεί η έκθεση υλικό δανεισμένο από τις πρώην αποικίες. Στην περίπτωση μας, στην περίπτωση της Κύπρου, αυτό το υλικό είναι έμψυχο, δηλαδή οι επιμελητές της έκθεσης είχαν επισκεφθεί την Κύπρο και μαζί πραγματοποιήσαμε συνεντεύξεις με αγωνιστές, με τον κύριο Ρένο Λισότη, με την κυρία Μαρούλα Βιολάρια Κοβίδου, με τον κύριο Ανδρέα Μαϊμαρίδη, οι οποίοι και οι τρεις είχαν ρόλο και δράση κατά την περίοδο του αγώνα και οι οποίοι έδειξαν εμπιστοσύνη στην επιμελητική ομάδα της έκθεσης, έτσι ώστε να μοιραστούν τις εμπειρίες τους, διότι αφορούν, για παράδειγμα, στις στιγμές, και αυτές οι στιγμές ήταν πολλές, που έζησαν πίσω από έναν κελί, στα κρατητήρια, στα δωμάτια ανακρίσεων, αφορούν στην κακομεταχείριση που εβίωσαν από όργανα της αποικιακής κυβέρνησης, αφορούν εμπειρίες που δύσκολα μοιράζεται κάποιος μεγαλοφόνος. Το Βρετανικό Πολεμικό Μουσείο έχει μια τεράστια συλλογή. Ένα μέρος αυτής μας αφορά μέσα, εφόσον είναι υλικό που υπάρχηκε στην κυριολεξία από την Κύπρο του 55-59. Αυτό το υλικό είναι καταλογογραφημένο με γλώσσα που προέρχεται, που είναι ριζωμένη στην περίοδο εκτάκτου ανάγκης, όπως την αποκαλούσαν. Για παράδειγμα, η ΕΟΚΑ χαρακτηρίζεται ως τρομοκρατική οργάνωση. Στην έκθεση αυτή χαρακτηρίζεται ως απελευθερωτικό κίνημα. Για μας αυτό είναι τεράστια νίκη και πρέπει να την εκλάβουμε ως έτσι, αν και η πρόσκληση προήλθε από το Λονδίνο. Εμείς πρέπει να το αξιοποιήσουμε.
What we'd really like visitors to take away from this exhibition is a much more nuanced view of history. History is a very complicated thing, and anyone who tells you that it's very simple and that it can be easily encapsulated in a few sentences or slogans, I think is misselling how complex it is. We found that people tended to think of the Second World War, the end of the Second World War, as being a very final moment. And what we discover when we look at the histories of the countries of empire, the former countries of empire, is that very often the Second World War marks the beginning of a new battle to shape their nations' futures. And it's the events of the Second World War, the fact that you have large numbers of soldiers, sailors and airmen and civilians from the colonies mixing together, fighting for Britain against Imperial Japan and fascism and Nazism, that when they come back, they look at the way their own countries are run and they have questions about that. And of course, many of the independence movement leaders have themselves fought in the Second World War. So they're aware of the stakes of what the situation is. So we think linking it to the Second World War, remember history is a continuum as much as it is individual events. Linking those two things we think is really important because again, people love hearing about the Second World War. It's a subject that is very popular here in the UK. And we think it's important to reflect all sides of that, not least the legacy that it left in the countries of empire and how it led eventually, in some cases, to their independence. Fighting for those very important values, what does that make the future of colonised countries look like? And that's why one of the original ways we conceptualized this was that these conflicts are about fighting for the future of these nations, fighting over different visions of that future. What would it be like? And that's why we hope people will take away some interesting things from the exhibition. And it's very interesting to reflect on how language can be used to make certain people appear in one context and other people appear in another context. And by recognising that and pointing it out and stripping some of these things away, it allows people to really engage with these stories, very painful, very personal stories, in ways which are about healing rather than relitigating past enmities.
For us, we identified that there were gaps and omissions in our own collection, and we were really determined to co-curate this exhibition with external experts, academics. We worked with people in Cyprus, for example, and we went to Cyprus, recorded new oral histories, interviews with individuals who fought for EOKA. It was really important for us to capture different and diverse perspectives. These are perspectives that we don't have in our current collection, so it felt really important for us to tell the story of their motivations and aims for fighting to end British colonial rule in Cyprus. It's been really useful developing this exhibition and working with our external co-curators to understand some of the motivations of the EOKA fighters. We really tried to present their motivations of ending British colonial rule and looked at some of their perspectives. We went and spoke to some of the fighters who were there at that time. We learned quite a lot about, there was no hatred towards the British in any sense. It was all really about fighting for what they thought was right for their country. I think with Cyprus what really became clear was that some of the human stories, we really identified that the population really suffered during the 1955-1959 period of time. It was really important for us to kind of tell those stories, the human stories of how people were affected because of what they believed in and what they supported. The title Emergency Exits really comes from how the British colonial authorities defined some of the wars and conflicts that they fought. So in the 1950s, Britain declared a series of emergencies in a number of its imperial territories. This was a term that was used by the British colonial authorities instead of war or conflict. Declaring emergency allowed the British colonial authorities to use extensive powers to control the population. In this exhibition, we've really tried to move away from some of that colonial language and update some of our own kind of collections and really reinterpret some of our objects for our audiences.